Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Reasonably Effective podcast brought to you by myself, Uncommon Fossil, and joined by 10 types as always.
Yep. Hello, everyone, and happy New. Wait, when is this being released? Is it on
It's
New Year's?
gonna, no, it's coming out like a day or two before New Year's,
Oh,
whatever it is. I think the second. No, you got me all confused. Well, you asked. The December 30th.
okay, okay.
But so what we're doing after that brilliant beginning, and asking me a question I wasn't prepared for, and
A
anyway,
classic.
would yes, it's good content and preparation. So we're doing our year-end awards, the 2024 edition, because we're ending 2024. There's only a couple of days left in the year. No new cards coming out, so I think we're pretty safe with making our awards. We probably need a name for our awards, but we didn't come up with one. So maybe next year. And tell in the comments below, give us a suggestion for what these awards should be called. How about that?
Yeah, they're the best awards. That's the only logical answer.
The only awards that really matter, right?
Exactly. Regardless, we're going to be going over the best cards of the year. Not necessarily new cards. A few might be the awards. None of the categories have to be new cards, though. And being a new card will mean a card is at a disadvantage because it wasn't playable the whole year. I think we're really looking post rotation. There was rotation this year, but we're looking at cards after that. I don't think it matters too much though.
Right. I didn't really pay too much attention to pre-rotation. I don't think it would swing things, but if we think of something pre-rotation, that's fine. But it's primarily post-rotation, and yeah, to me, we're looking at three categories for Pokemon, three categories for trainers and energy, and to me, versatility is a plus with things always, and like longevity in a sense, right? The more of the year it was at a high level, that's a plus as well. And new cards, of course, weren't around all year.
Yeah, yeah. So something like Terapagos EX, which is relatively new. I mean, it's not like the newest set, but it's only been around for like half the year, less than that, and so that's realistically going to be at a pretty big disadvantage. But we'll talk about
Right.
at least one card I have that's printed this year. I have a few, but regardless, let's just
Yeah.
start off with I think the first category, arguably the most important category, which is the best attacking Pokemon. And I have four, I guess, nominations. And we were talking before. You all said you had four, right?
Yeah, and this one we're concerned. So you say this is the most important. I know it's the most important sense, but I honestly, when I was looking through in terms of the candidates for it, this was one of the most boring categories to me. At
Yeah,
least
I'd agree
interesting in
with that.
terms of what it could be.
So
So,
so what do you
sure.
have?
All right. So I'll go not in any particular order, although it always is. Dragapult EX, Charizard EX, Raging Bolt EX, and Regidrago V Star. So, three dragons and a darkness Pokemon.
And I also have those four Pokemon. So I'm not surprised. We were talking a little bit before, and we kind of thought we might have the same one. So yeah, we have the same ones. And you said there's one you think wins clearly.
Yeah,
And then
and
which
you
one is?
and I think you said the same. So I think Regidrago V Star is the attacker of the
Wait,
year.
what? I thought it's Charizard. What?
It's Richie. All right, well that's good. We have a debate. If you look at Richie Drago has been so dominant all year.
I get,
Now,
but if you look at the results, so I just pulled up limit list. You can sort by tournaments. This is points. I guess I could sort by like other categories. So I guess Regidrago beats it on earnings, but then Charizard beats it with the other categories by the 1 points is like a good category, and it's the highest, like it's double Regidrago V Star throughout the year. I think recently with the past two formats, Regidrago V Star has been
yeah.
probably better. Looking at online tournaments throughout the sets, looking at Paradox Rift, which was pre-rotation, Charizard was better. Also, why do you think it's Regidrago actually?
All right, so let me call. I didn't think this was an issue. I didn't have to prepare for this. So, all right, so I was just calling up tournaments. So it just won Toronto. It was
These are
second. So I'm just
in-person
calling.
tournaments.
This is IRL. It's easier to see. I can click a card and see the results, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
It actually was 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8,
Well, yeah, but that was
and
just
10.
one tournament.
I understand. So I think it has a lot of high finishes, didn't it? It came in fourth. Oh, that's the senior. So not that that doesn't count, but um,
Yeah, less people and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, it came in sixth and seventh. That I mean, it won when it won a special event, and look, it had just tremendous results.
Yeah, it has.
So
I'm not saying it's bad. I think it's the second best card.
so you think
Um,
Charizard, and I actually don't think Charizard's the second best.
what do you think the second best is?
So I think Raging Bolt is the
Yeah,
second best.
you know,
It's
I think
just a
Raging Bolt's
pure.
bad, so I'm not going to say Raging Bolt. But we don't think
It's
it's
just such a huge beat stick, though. You know what I'm saying?
which
It's
one?
just it does Raging
Wait, isn't
Bolt just
Rare Beast
does.
Stick a Pokemon that like doesn't take one shots generally? I mean, it
No,
could.
it
Like,
just
isn't
beats
Charizard?
that's true. It's just it's a huge just smash through, right? In
Yeah,
one
it's
sense,
very
it's
strong. But
it's a really clear like attacking Pokemon. It's just not a lot attacker, right? Because Reggie Draco obviously is an attacker. It's a versatility thing also. It also has a good ability. Charizard, really good attacker, but if you took away the ability, it's not good, right?
but it
So
has the ability.
once I know, but see, we have a support category, so it's so anyway. And Charizard's been very vulnerable.
I
I
guess.
think Raging Bolt just does what you want in a big aggro deck, right? And it's been pretty good the whole time. It hasn't been great, but I think it's been pretty good. I think,
Raging Bolt.
yeah, Raging Bolt.
Yeah, no, I think that's Raging Bolt's like good, but I don't think either of us are arguing for. I don't think we're
I
end
think
up
it's
with Raging Bolt. I'd put Reggie Draco above Raging Bolt, and you would as
okay.
well.
I would. I would put it above Charizard though. So I'm trying to look at what it won. I'm looking at Charizard stats now. So it won Stuttgart. As I'm just looking through things.
But let's look at play limitless, right? That's a good thing that can show pretty clearly what like good decks are. The most played deck, generally the most like being more played is good. Um, and reflects
Yeah,
it doing well previously. So in Paradox Rift, Charizard is the top deck. Um, there are other decks. Regidraco V-Star is not on this list, like really at all. I don't think because
Wait,
TMS
so
still
you
got
did
plenty of
what?
Paradox
Wait,
Rift
which pair?
and play limitless.
Okay.
And so
Yeah,
yeah,
below, but it's only a 40% win rate. So
well, it's what's you know it's
that's an
40. It's like it's decent. I mean, it's obviously it's good. It was the most played deck. Generally, decks that get played a ton do end up losing more. And anyways, then the next expansion, Temporal Forces, which was kind of like the first one of the year. Um,
yes.
I guess yeah, Paradox Drift would have been the previous year, but some of that format was this year. But then Temporal Forces, you see Charizard is the best deck. Regidraco's not here at all. Like Charizard's clearly
Yeah.
above Regidraco. Um,
Well,
and then you have the next dimension, Twilight Masquerade. Regidraco is the fifth deck, and then Charizard is the third. Then, which is like the first set that Regidraco really started being. I mean, when Teal Sugar Pony X came out, and then
right.
Shrouded Fable. Charizard's the top deck. Regidraco's the second deck. Stellar Crown, Region Bolt's the top deck, then Charizard's second, Regidraco's fourth. Then with Surging Sparks, Charizard's the top deck, Regidraco's the second deck. Regidraco does have a higher win rate. I certainly don't think it's crazy to say Regidraco's better than Charizard in this format, but I mean Charizard's really good. I don't think it's. I think most people would say Regidraco's better, but I think Charizard EX is like really, really, really good right now. So and looking just at play limitless, Charizard was above
Yeah.
Regidrago in literally all the categories
Well, for plays, but
for plays.
all right. So look, I think the argument in favor of Charizard is Charizard has been around all year, right?
Yeah, I think
Reggie
that's a
Drago
big part of it.
came on later, but once Reggie Drago came on, it had a higher win rate every time, often by like 3 or 4%. So it just performed a lot better. It won at a higher rate. So so to me, I think that's why I would go with Reggie Drago.
But there are other cards there are decks that have higher win rate than that too. Like I'm checking one deck that I think has a higher win rate. I could be wrong. Regidraco's win rate is pretty good. It's good. There are decks that have higher win rates that I've played less as well. So I think if you just look at win rate, then like because decks that have higher win rates generally are played like a little less. So those things kind of go in very like Snorlax. I think if you go by win rate, Snorlax is the top card.
Well, look, I mean, you got to be win rate, but also has to be at a deck that's played a lot, right?
Yes, no. So
And
of the decks that I played a lot, Snorlax. It's not necessarily like top 10 plays all the time, but um, it's been pretty consistently a great
well,
win rate. Um,
okay.
yeah,
So,
which I'm
all
not
right.
saying, and I don't think Snorlax is the best card in the best. I mean, it's not an attacker,
Well, see, that's the question, right? Snorlax is not an
but
attacking
that's not in
Pokemon.
the
So,
running either, right?
Uh, well, here's the thing. I would say I probably. I mean, I would out of these four Pokemon, I might put it like I think Dragapult EX is the bottom of the four myself.
Hmm.
I think it's very good. Obviously, it's to be considered fourth of the year, but I probably might put Snorlax over that in terms of a deck. But Snorlax is not an attacker
Yeah. Well, but
per se.
Dragapult's like the main attacker in Regidrago. So why do you think Regidrago's good if you don't think Dragapult's good?
Well, Dragapult can Regidrago does other things, right?
Yeah, but
Um,
it
and
like Dragapult's the main attack.
and I don't think if you look at Dragapult's results over the year, I don't think it was all that great
Well, but all the
consistently, was it?
Regidrago results are also Dragapult results.
Well, when I say right Dragapult, it's without Regidrago,
Well,
right?
but it's
It's
this
just
isn't
it's a
like,
Dragapult pure Regidrago attacking deck.
huh?
You know what I'm saying? I think a Dragapult deck is not. If I'm going to say that's the best attacker, I'm removing Regidrago V Star from the equation.
Yeah, but that's like part of what makes Dragapult good too. I wouldn't have put Dragapult on the list if it wasn't for Regidrago.
I think Dragapult's a very good deck unto its own. I
I think
think,
it's okay. I mean, it's
and I
like,
think it's going to get better. I think it's going to become more important with the next set and such too.
well,
But that's
yeah,
not
that
part of
doesn't
this
matter.
topic. But
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
I think
I know you like Dracook a lot, but I think that there are like better attackers than Dragapult. Like, I'd probably put Trapos above it. I know it's a little different. If just looking at Dragapult outside of Regidrago, it's a little different because obviously Trapos was released later. But to me,
right.
like I think like Regidrago just hasn't been good the whole year. It's been good. When did
Uh,
TMS Ogarpon EX come out? It came out in it came out in May, so like that's a good chunk of the year that you like
that's
Regidrago
true.
wasn't really usable. So I think Regidrago, I definitely see where you're coming from. I think a lot of people think it should like I was predicting I predicted in the comments a lot of people think it should be Regidrago, but like that's because of like recency bias. And yeah, I
Well,
think with recency bias, then I'd say Regidrago. But
all
um,
right. Look, I'll give you Charizard EX. I think it's very good. I think in some ways it doesn't get the respect it should in the IRL scene. Because I think it's just very good. I
it's
just
been good like the whole year.
and I'll give it to you because of that. The problem is once Regidrago was good, it's been better, right?
I
It,
guess.
so for like 70% of the year, Regidrago would be the deck for 70%, right? But of
I'm
course,
actually gonna check on a Limitless here past 6 months. Yeah, Regidrago's ahead of it by a noticeable amount. So yeah, I mean I could
but
see it that way, but and then
I
I'd actually
mean,
give it to I might give it to Dragapult over Regidrago because that's the main attacker within Regidrago as well.
all right. So look, we need to come up with a decision,
Yeah,
right, and move
Charizard.
on
You
here.
said Charizard. So
I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to do that. Um,
just because all the data happens to back it,
Not all the data. Over
not
the
all the data.
course of the 12 months of this year, Charizard is better once you bring that into focus.
Yeah. So regardless, we went with Charizard. That was a lot of more disagreement than I was expecting. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, I think yeah. Anyways, so we'll move on to the next category, best supporting Pokemon. I will say I don't think so. There wasn't a clear answer based on what we decided. But for supporting Pokemon, I also don't think there is. So I have five cards, and I think any of them could be it. How many do you have?
I have five as well. I think it's between two probably, and I'm not sure if we'll have the same five on this one or not.
Okay, so I'll read mine first here. I got Pheasantipty EX, Radiant Greninja, Teal Mesogopan EX, Pidgeot EX, and Squawkabilly EX. And yeah, as I said, I think any of them could get it.
So, all right. So we didn't quite agree. I think we had. So you said Pidgeot EX and
Hmm.
Squawkabilly, and I had Pheasant Deputy, Radiant Greninja. I think it's one of those two myself. I didn't have Teamask Ogrepon. I had Rotom V.
Yeah, Rotom V is
So
good. I was also considering putting Lumineon V. Rotom V and
yeah.
Lumineon V. Really, any V is kind of tied to Forest Seal Stone, um, which like makes them better. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. It's a good thing. But Rotom V is almost like a card that enables searching for any card, but that's not actually what it
Well,
does.
I'm not sure with Rotom V, right? You draw three cards, your turn ends. Like in a deck when it was played, see, the Charizard EX deck, right? With Pidgeot EX, which is potentially the winner for the support category. Um, I think you still might play Rotom V without Forest Seal Stone. I'm not sure. That'd be an interesting question to
Yeah.
consider. But look, Rotom V obviously isn't in every deck, but it's a really important card in a lot of decks, right? As well as like control decks too, right? You love that too,
Yeah, I mean
right?
it's good in a few decks, decks like Charizard, like Dragapult, and then Snorlax. It's not even in like all Dragapult lists, and then it's good in I don't know, like Rotom V is good. I don't think you think it's Rotom V. You said what two do you say
I
it was
don't
between?
think it is. I think it's Pheasantipity or Radiant Greninja. But I if you wanted to argue Pidgeot EX, I can see that too because it's obviously insanely good what it does, right? Gets one card of whatever it is every turn. Obviously, stage two, you got to set it up, and if you need more than just the one card, right? If it Pheasant Pidgeot's so much better now that you have Pheasantipity, right? Because you get some cards and then you get the missing piece. So they kind of work together in a sense.
Yeah, I think TLMS. So you didn't say TLMS Ogre Pontiacs, and I think that's kind of fair. It's
No.
obviously not. Well, it's a little weird. It's very different. It's kind of like very much tied to attackers, and a way that the other ones aren't. And then also on top of that,
Yeah.
it's a card that isn't playable in most of the decks in the game, and it's not like it's in two of the very best decks. We were talking about Regidraco V-Star and Reasonable EX, and those are very good decks and were
Right.
throughout the course of the year. And TMS Ogre Pontiacs is great, but I don't think it's the best. And then so Pheasant of the four we have, I
All
think
right.
Pheasant.
All right. So just one second. So yeah. So I think so. Teal Mask Ogre Pond because it's limited. Rotom V is limited. I also would put Squawkabilly EX in that limited category. There's certain. It's obviously great in a number of decks,
I mean, it's much less
but
limited than those, or it's less limited than those other two. Much less than TMS
okay.
Ogre Pontiacs, but it is a one of. TMS Ogre Pontiacs is the only one, I believe, of the ones we said that is I guess a four of in essentially all the decks it's played in.
Yes, I mean that's true. Right. Radiant Greninja has to be a one of. Pheasantipity EX is usually a one of.
Oh, wait, maybe it's a three
Um,
of. I guess it's a three of or a four of. Depends on the
yeah,
deck.
I don't think I'm going to give it much of a bump because of that. Although that probably helps it, but I think it's too niche. Is my thought.
Yeah. So I think Pheasant EX is the strongest of the cards, but then it came out halfway through the year. So that's kind of weird. Like it's the best card. I think it's the most
Right.
played Pokemon in the game right now by like a wide margin. Radiant Greninja is really good, but it's a Radiant, so well, okay, now not all decks would want it anyways, and then some decks might want another Radiant as well. Though more so, there are decks that just don't really need it. Pheasant Dipty is like not reliability in play, unlike Squawkabilly EX. I mean, any of them could be, and Pheasant Dipty can be, but it's a really good card that's in most decks. But how much would you tax it for being a card that hasn't been playable half the year?
I mean, it's got to be really good, right? So I'm just trying to look. So you don't think it's Pidgeot EX, do you? By the way, or
No,
maybe?
no, I don't think it's Pidgeot. Well, it's in Charizard and like some controls. Yeah, Pidgeot EX is like it's a good card, but it's not. Yeah, no, I wouldn't give it to that.
It's a little narrow, right? Some Terapagos,
Oh yeah,
Dusknoir,
Trapgos
but
too. Let's forget
mostly
that.
Charizard and Pidgeot control. So mostly Charizard,
Mhm.
is what it's in. So let me just take a look at the stats here. Right? You wanted to take a look at so Radiant Ninja because that's obviously been around all year. Um,
Wait,
like
what
it
stats
was.
are you looking at? Just
I'm
like
looking at
placings, tournament
this.
placings?
This is the IRL. Sorry, this is the IRL stuff.
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm
which
doing
isn't
that.
really like a stat. I mean, it's like tournament
No,
placings,
I'm
but it's
scanning through some tournaments. So it was like the third, like top eight. It was third in a Raging Bolt deck. Okay, and that's it there. I mean, it's in a lot of decks, but let's see.
and
Like
then it does
Perth
well.
eight,
It's not in well, it's in a decent amount of
Bologna
decks, but
246. All right, so
the
let's
most
see.
recent major
Stuttgart
tournament, it won
five for
and came
seven.
second, which is
So,
impressive at the time of recording. The Champions League in Osaka, and which does have
right.
a handful of cards that aren't out yet. Don't believe those are in the top decks, but there's Badu. Um, or it wasn't in like the top two decks, if I'm not mistaken, but more or less the same format that International's in, and certainly it's within the what's graded here as well. So
Yeah, look, I mean, I'm not taking the Japanese results into account, especially the new ones, because we don't have it internationally, right?
I
Those
guess,
that
but it's
same
still like
that
a card, and it's like tournaments that are
yeah.
within
But
the
look,
year.
so Toronto regional, it was in the top eight decks, all of them. And I'm
It
scrolling
was,
down,
yeah.
and I'm still scrolling, and I'm still scrolling, and I'm still scrolling through Toronto, and it finally got out of Toronto. Perth only two, four,
Wait,
six,
sorry. What you
seven.
said it was in all of the top 8 decks in Toronto?
Yes, Pheasantipity.
Oh, Pheasantipity. I thought you were talking about Radiant Greninja.
Pheasantipity. No, no, because for Pheasantipity to beat Radiant Greninja, it's just got to be super dominant since it came out. Is my point.
Yeah, and I think it
That's the way I
has. Well,
look
I
at
don't
it.
necessarily think it's Radiant Greninja. Like, I think it could be Squawkabilly.
You think Squawkabilly? Okay, I don't. Okay, so
Squawkabilly, because we like what these cards actually. We just talking about how much they're played, but ultimately, what matters is what they do. And what
um,
um, Radiant Greninja does is it adds consistency throughout the course of the game. Pheasantipity adds, I think, more consistency throughout the course of the game, protection from Iono, and yeah, things like that.
right.
And then Squawkabilly allows for explosive turn one combos, so it's different. Radiant Greninja and Pheasantipity actually are pretty similar cards. Um, Radiant Greninja is more niche. Calling it niche is like kind of silly because it's not that niche. It's pretty widespread, but um, then Squawkabilly EX is a card that goes in like turbo decks, but looking at
Right.
the top decks, there are some decks that really can't work without it, including something like Raging Bolt EX, Roaring Moon EX, and
Right.
again Mariah EX. Like these turbo decks can't really work at all without Squawkabilly EX. They kind of can, but you need to get lucky if you don't have Squawkabilly EX. With Squawkabilly EX, they work way better.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's tied to Regidrago. I see like Roaring Moon. Obviously, I mean, it's the Raging Bolt is to be like a classic Squawkabilly EX deck.
Yeah.
So Squawkabilly X it's more versatile than maybe I was given credit for originally. Um, the way decks are now too, because I've been thinking some about engines and what we have post rotation, and we're losing big engines, but most of these decks don't really have. A lot of decks just don't have engines. They kind
Well,
of
they have like Pheasantipity EX, Radiant Greninja,
right.
Pokestop, things like that.
Y- yeah, we lose Pokestop, obviously Red Greninja. A lot of it is Pheasantipity. You have enough stuff to get going, and then rely on Pheasantipity to carry it through. And the games are short a lot of times too. So they're kind of designed with these big, these big turbo decks. You win like 4 turns, the game's done, or you've lost if you don't pull that off. So look, Pheasantipity. I mean, the question is Squawkabilly Pheasantipity is more important since it came out than
Yeah,
any
I
of
think
these
I
other
think right now
Pokemon.
I'm leaning towards Pheasantipity because it's so good. Like, yes,
Hmm.
it is a card that hasn't been played as much. Well, it hasn't been out as long, but it's so dominant. It's like one of the most
Right.
dominant cards, Pokemon that we've seen in a very long time, I think. Or within like it's the most dominant Pokemon of the year when it's been out, which is really impressive. And we haven't seen like Squawkabilly X, Radiant Greninja. Radiant
Right.
Greninja is like everyone's like, oh, well, the other Radiants are so bad, and we said this. The other Radiants are bad because they're competing with Radiant Greninja, but I believe Radiant Greninja is in less than half the decks by a noticeable margin. So
Right.
it can't be. It's not Pheasantipity. Pheasantipity EX is a card it doesn't completely change the game by being in the game despite its play rate, but I think it's a card that just allows decks to work better.
Yeah, I mean yeah, it's a card that goes in almost every deck, right? I was gonna say what maybe it's the best card in a sense since Dedenne GX in that sense, but
Yeah,
it's
that's
even
what
more
I was thinking.
versatile, universal in that even, right?
I guess, yeah. Dedenne GX is kind of like Squawkabilly, but not just turn one. So yeah,
Right. It's like super turbocharged Squawkabilly EX.
yeah,
Which I assume it means they're never gonna print that one again. So
yeah. I love
um
Dedenne though. Dedenne was fun, broken, but fun.
yeah.
Regardless, yeah. I think so.
So
Pheasantipity.
Pheasantipity gets the crown for this one, right?
Yeah, and then we only talked about rule box Pokemon. So the next category is not best non-rule box Pokemon. So you have less than me. I have 8 or something. I have 3 that I think can win it most likely, but it's weird. There
Yeah.
are obviously a lot of non-rule box Pokemon because most are, but the best ones generally aren't.
Yeah, so I have 4, and in 1 or 2 of these I considered putting in the other list too a little bit. So I think what I'm probably going to argue for the best one is everybody's favorite Pokemon, and that's Block Snorlax,
Hmm.
because as you've already said how good that is at winning. So that's definitely a consideration. Dusknor, which I considered putting on best support Pokemon list, honestly. Um, it's very powerful, is what it does. And I would include the whole evolution line when I say that. Probably I'm not going to. I would include the stage one. Maybe
Yeah,
that's
I mean, the
cheating.
stage one isn't like anywhere near as meaningful as the stage two either. Um,
No, but the
yeah,
stage one sometimes gets used, right?
yeah, no,
So
it's a card that's
you
used.
know,
It's a meaningful card, but it's not. Dusknoir is the card. If we didn't have Dusclops, I think Dusknoir would still be fine.
right. I'm putting down. I have Archeops
Okay.
because its ability is just insane, right?
Yeah,
It's
I honestly
obviously
just
very niche,
forgot
right?
about that one.
It's in one deck, but it makes that deck good, right? Because otherwise it wouldn't be good. Its ability is insane. Accelerate two special energies every turn.
Mhm.
So and then I have one attacker, and that's which I don't think you had, and that is Roaring Moon, the baby Roaring Moon,
Yeah,
which
okay.
is a very good deck.
Yeah, it's a good deck, and it's called Ancient Pox, but that's the main attacker. I was considering putting that. Those are your four.
That's my four, yeah.
Okay, I have Snorlax and Dusknoir, I think, are my top two. I honestly forgot about Archeops. I do have Chinchino as, I think, the best attacker.
Okay.
Roy up there as well. I also have Manaphy. I think Manaphy is very good. Manaphy is a weird card to talk about. And then I have Comfy. I was like, Lost Stone's been good this year. It's not
Hmm.
been absurdly dominant, but it's been pretty solid.
Yep.
And yeah, I just felt like I couldn't ignore Manaphy. And then we have Iron Bundle. It's a decently
Oh
versatile
yeah.
Pokemon. It's good. It's probably not the best, but it's just a bunch of play. And then you have Mimikyu. Mimikyu is a weird card to talk about, but it's good. I think it's underrated. It's a weird card.
Okay. So you got a bunch. All
Yeah,
right. So
and
I'm
then I
trying to.
have one last one. I got Knockdown, which is you were saying engines aren't
Oh
played. Knockdown is
yeah.
played
I
though.
forgot about that one. Yeah.
Realistically, I think Knockdown has a really hard time making it because it's newer and it's not like super dominant, but it's been a good card. It's probably the best. Like it's an engine. It's a bit of a different engine, but it's an engine, and it's arguably the best. I mean, Pidgeot EX is good, and then it depends like what you count, Pheasantipty EX and like Pokestop and things like that. But regardless, I think that's good. But I think it's between. So yeah, as I said, I kind of forgot about Archeops because I was thinking about Lugia as in the other categories, and then that's obviously a
Right.
Roblox Pokemon. Archeops isn't like great though without great special energy. We'll talk about special energy later, but I mean it's a very good card, but it was better like by a lot in an earlier format.
Oh yeah, yeah. When he had all those great special energies, then it was pretty insane. And even then, it's tricky, right? Because Archeops without Lugia, you're not evolving it from a fossil in a viable deck. I don't think so.
Yeah, boo fossils, right?
Boof, right? Fossils are for losers, right?
Yeah.
So I think I can't put Archeops, but then what I'll say is I think I'm gonna knock out. In a sense, I'm not sure I would knock out Chinchino similarly too. It's
No,
in the
that's
only the
fair. That's
one.
fair.
It's only the one deck, and without Archeops and Lugia, it's no good. Also,
Yeah, I think Roaring Moon also probably isn't on there. Like Roaring Moon's good. It's probably the best single price attacker of the year. Um, it's good, but eh, is it good enough? Probably not.
probably not. Oh, the best single prize attacker, at least right now, is probably Cloth, right? That
Yeah, Cloth was like a card I wanted to put, but it has not been good for that long. It's been good with Latias EX. Latias EX maybe could have been like it's a very good supporting Pokemon. I forgot about that one kind of, or maybe I didn't, but it's obviously very new. Um, and it's not like super dominant. And then we have, well, I don't think Comfy. I don't think you think it's Comfy.
no, and again, it's also it's only Lost Zone, and Lost Zone hasn't been great this year, also, right?
I think
So
it's
they
very
would
good
say,
now. Like it's a very good deck right now. But yeah, no. And then there. Oh, also, I guess we should say this. We're not counting like Charmanders and stuff. I mean, we could if the Charmander was good, but we're not counting that. And then
right?
I think Iron Bundle probably isn't.
No, I don't think it's Iron Bundle. It's obviously it's a very again it's very good, but I don't think it can. No, it doesn't make the list. Oh, the one other card that's good, but again doesn't make it is the psychic one with darkness energy that
Oh,
moves
Monkey Dory.
the
Yeah,
Monkey Dory, right? That's a fun one too.
it's a
But
fun one.
again, I don't.
It's good, but
Yeah.
yeah. And then there's Mimikyu and Knockdown. I don't think either of those make it. Mimikyu's I think it's really underrated, but it's not like
Um.
hasn't seen that much
Yeah.
play.
Correct. I wonder with the new stuff coming out if that could be worth playing some more. But yes, I don't think it's good enough in
With the new
general.
wait, what new stuff? Like the
Well,
trainers book?
with the
or the
Yeah,
Badoo?
with Badoo, honestly, because I think there's some real because you're looking to play some hard counter stuff with that, right? Potentially, it's
Potentially,
an
yeah.
idea. So obviously, it's good for that. But yeah, I don't think Mimikyu is going to make the list today, so it's not going to be the winner.
Yeah, and then Noctowl is I think too new, and it's not even like that. It's a card that I like a lot. I know you don't like it,
Yeah.
right? You find it annoying to play against.
Well, I don't. Well, yeah, and I don't feel bad. When it first was out, it was getting played a lot, and it takes a lot of actions and decisions. The people that play it now are also probably better too. Like it was out, and like people were new, and they would just, they would make like 10 decisions on a turn, and like you'd sit there for 5 minutes.
Yeah, difficult decisions, not just like, oh, I want to play this nest ball or not? No, yeah. So,
Right. And then
um,
I would take like a 30-second turn. I'll get to another card too that is a bad decision card on lots of live games. But yeah, I don't think Noctowl quite gets there.
yeah. So then you don't think it's Manaphy? Like, because you didn't have Manaphy on your list.
I mean, so we're down to 3 cards, right?
Yeah, Snorlax, Dusknoir, which are the two you think, which definitely those aren't annoying at all, right? And then and then we were gonna do a most annoying
Manaphy.
category, and we decided that all the most annoying category was just these single prize Pokemon. So
Yeah.
so Manaphy, like Manaphy's a card that's played a lot. I think it's fallen off some, but it's very good. I mean, fallen off, it's still played a decent amount, but it's really, I mean, it's been played a lot. It's obviously in all sorts of decks. Like Dusknoir and Snorlax are not in all sorts of decks. Manaphy is, like, I don't necessarily think it's
Pretty.
that, but I think it could be. I mean, it's so versatile. It's one of the most versatile Pokemon in the game, if not the most versatile Pokemon in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of scanning through some of the IRL results. It doesn't show up in a lot of the top decks very often, is what I'll say.
But
Um,
it's also a card that like allows you to be in games more. Winning a tournament, you need to get arguably you need to like high roll some. So in order
right.
to do that, then a card like Manaphy reduces your odds of being able to do that. And keeps like even with Manaphy, it's not like if you're a terrible matchup against a spread deck, you play Manaphy, it's not all of a sudden a great matchup. It just makes it a little more okay. But yeah, like Manaphy is a card. It's a weird card, but it definitely adds value to decks. It doesn't necessarily mean that you'll like it makes some matchups worse, but it's a card that, but it doesn't make them that much worse. And the matchups it makes better, it makes a lot better. So it gives you more even matchup spread, which, as I said, isn't necessarily what you're looking for in a tournament, but in general play, like regular play, it can be often a very good card to include.
Yeah, the question, one of my big questions is it too narrow in its usage, right? Like how many
Yeah.
decks are really playing it? Because
Like,
obviously,
what do you mean? Well, more decks are
like
playing it than Snorlax and Dusknoir.
well, that's true. That's true. I'm thinking about, yeah, I mean, you're correct. So it's more wide than those, but it's not like just amongst a lot of you have like big HP basic type decks and all. Don't play Manaphy, right?
Yeah,
They don't
yeah.
worry about it. And then it's a matter of you also, so it's evolution decks primarily that have to play it. And then you still have the question of to what extent do you need to play it, right? It's what's the anticipated meta? Because obviously you don't want to start Manaphy generally, and you always would like to probably have a different card instead in your deck if you didn't need Manaphy. So even the decks that can use it's kind of in and out. What I will say is if we had the old Mew, right, with whatever, it's same effect, different name,
Yeah,
but its
with bench
attack
wave.
was much better,
I guess.
right?
I mean, yeah, Manaphy's
Well,
attack's
you could
bad.
use it,
But
right?
it's not like it was a great attack. I guess it would be good against Badoo. So, yeah.
It was 30, right? And for colorless, and it was to any Pokemon, right? If I recall,
Yeah,
or
you
did
place
you got to
damage
spread it
counters
out?
anywhere you want.
So, but it just, it was just it made most decks can't attack with Manaphy. Not that you want to, but it's nice to have that option. Anyway, so is it broad enough? Let's talk
Yeah,
about the other
yeah.
two cards.
So let's talk Snorlax. We talked about I mentioned it earlier. It's been like it's a
Yes.
card that has really high win rate. If you look on like play limitless, and also
Yeah.
Snorlax. If you don't know, tournaments generally this isn't necessarily how they all work, but a lot work this way, where if you run out of time, then it ends in a draw, and there's a time limit, which isn't the live timer, because in live you shouldn't really ever run out of time. Um, even with the shortened timer, I've gotten below 10 minutes now. Like sometimes that definitely happens, but I've never timed out. Uh, I don't know if I've ever seen someone time out, like my opponent time out in live. It's really unlikely. And I played like games that have gone. I mean, with Snorlax, I played a game once that was like 200 turns, and we had plenty of time left. I played games that are long with lots of turns, with lots of decisions, and the time shouldn't run out. But in tournaments, you land up with ties. Ties are not wins, so in terms of win rate, they're essentially losses, and so that like kind of skews the win rate down some in ways that aren't like exactly what you'd expect. It kind of makes the deck look worse than it is. And this is higher, like much higher with decks that are like stally or controlly like Snorlax. So as a deck, its win rate is like kind of absurd, pretty consistently.
Yeah.
It's not like game breaking, obvious best deck in format absurd win rate, but it's very good. I mean, in the current format of the top 50 decks, it's third, but has a lot of ties. So I'm not sure if it would probably wouldn't be first. But the other decks are Palkia Noctowl and Lost Box Charizard, which see substantially less plays. Then the next deck below it is
Right.
Pidgeot Control. And then yeah, Iron Thorn's up there as well. Everyone's favorite three decks.
Yeah, I mean these control decks do really well, for good or for bad, which we make most people might think for bad. Here's the good about Snorlax is online tournaments it does really well.
Wait, is that good?
Um,
Oh,
well,
for the
that's
card
a
being good,
for Snorlax.
not for
If you
us.
if you no, if you want to just grind wins in live, it's really good for that too.
Yeah, the games aren't like
That's really
usually that long. They can be long if your opponent slow plays or
yeah.
if you also slow play because you don't know what you're doing. But it's a pretty easy deck to play, and the turns are pretty short.
Right. It actually was, I think at one point, if I had like a player that didn't know what they were doing too well and wanted to go to like an event, probably Snorlax was you could probably get the best performance out of that deck, which is I always felt was unfortunate for a stall control deck, but because it was pretty simple. The downside though is in IRL tournaments where you have partly the tournament rules make control decks hard, but also your opponent's quality of opponents increases. It doesn't do very well IRL play. So
Yeah,
I think that's
but
the
the
big
IRL tournament
knock.
play, right? But
Right,
most
IRL
play
tournament.
is not that. I mean, like most play is decent. And it's not like a hard. I'd say Pidgeot Control is a deck where it's really hard to play. So
Yeah,
I'd knock it for that. But Snorlax is easy to play, hard to play against, which is really what you're looking for.
right.
That's like good for a deck. It's not like that hard to play against, but it's something that's unique. Regardless, it's like a card with a good win rate, and it's been good like the whole year. It has had some like
Yeah,
Peck Run EX isn't good for it. It's really bad. Essentially, if your opponent's playing that, you just lose. And there's some
right.
things like Dusknoir. So let's talk about Dusknoir. I think we kind of know what Snorlax is, but Dusknoir is a card that people wanted banned. It was never going to get banned. It wasn't really ever deserving of a ban, but it was very
No,
good. It was also annoying because it allows you to kind of sweep your opponent's board either by just knocking out all their Pokemon or all their important Pokemon, or by just taking all your prizes. And it's been good in a few decks. It's been good in Dragapult. It's not like no, yeah, I guess it's pretty much always playing Dragapult, I think. Charizard and then Terapagos. Certainly not always playing Terapagos. Obviously, it's a card that came out this year as well.
right. So yeah, it's hasn't been around as long. So that's a negative in our categories. I'm looking like at its results. An IRL, it hasn't been great generally.
What?
Uh, the Dust Nordex. I think it won one event with a Charizard deck, but generally, I think when it first came out, it was got some buzz, but it's not been the best, I don't think. Um, so I don't know. I mean, I'm not inclined to put Dustnor at the top,
Yeah, and I
but
said like it's usually been Dragapult. I guess now people play with Iron Thorns a lot, but regardless, yeah, I think it's.
right.
So does that leave us with Snorlax?
I mean, unless you want to argue for Manaphy, right?
I could see it being Manaphy, but you think it's not? Like, do you definitely think it's Snorlax and not Manaphy?
Um, I mean, see, Snorlax obviously does really well. Manaphy obviously is much more versatile.
Yeah.
Um,
Ultimately, in terms of
I
actual games, like it's not even useful that often. So it's a card that people just kind of check in, because
right.
it can be. It's like an insurance policy, but it's nothing that is consistently winning you games either.
Right. Most games you're discarding it as soon as you get the chance from your hand, usually.
Mhm.
Unless you know you need it. So look, I think we should give it to Snorlax, and I think we should be glad it's going to rotate. And I think we should probably start a petition to ban Snorlax from expanded once it rotates.
Exactly. But there's the other Snorlax expanded as well,
Yeah.
which is like the
Look,
same.
I think we should. How about a petition that Pokemon never prints a card with
Block.
blockability
Yeah.
again?
But there's
Because
the Almost Star, or what's it? The Almost Star from 151, which has the ability Primordial Tentacles as long as it's in the active, your points active can't retreat, right? Everyone's favorite ability, so it's still in format. But it's a stage 2 fossil, so as we determined
yeah,
earlier, fossils are bad.
right. Look, this is a basic, right? With pretty good
Yeah, no,
with pretty
Snorlax is
decent
like
HP.
super. I think it's like kind of bro. I have visually have the old Snorlax pulled up, but yeah, no, I think it's kind of bro. I usually don't call cards broken, but Snorlax might be broken. Um, it's kind of weird, but regardless, that's the best one. Manaphy's very different. But
Yeah.
yeah, then we
So we agree on Snorlax, right?
yeah, everyone's
Okay.
favorite card.
Yes. All right. So now we're doing moving to the trainers and energies, right? So we go to best supporter Pokemon. So shall I
Card.
read off card? Yeah. I have 6 cards. How
Okay,
many
and
do you have, by the way?
I got 5. Well, I
All
thought you
right. Why
said
don't
you
you
had
read your
5 earlier. Maybe you didn't. Anyway, so I
Oh,
have.
I still have actually I do have 5.
Oh, what? Okay.
I can't count.
So I have Boss's Orders, Iono, Professor
Hmm.
Sada's Vitality, Arvin, and Professor's Research.
Right. Wait, hang on. So Professor Sada's Vitality, which I don't have, which is very good.
Yeah.
So let's see. Make sure. So I know you said right.
Hmm.
Arvin, Boss, Research,
Yep.
and then I have the other professor.
Turos. Okay. I think Penny is also up there. Taro, Scenario, and Penny
Yeah.
kind of fight each other, which is kind of weird. So
Right.
what?
Turo is more universal
Yeah, but
because
it's
it's not just
worse,
basics.
obviously.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
regardless, I don't think it's that. Do you think it's that?
Look, I'm gonna say, and I said we were kind of going over just talking the show notes, so to speak, although we don't actually have show notes, just what we're gonna talk about. I think it's between 2 cards, and I said I don't think you're gonna like it because
Yeah.
I
What
think it's
two?
between I think it's Research or Boss, which are just too boring,
Research?
right?
I think
I
it's
think Professor's
Iono
Research
or
is
Boss. I think research is fourth, or even maybe even fifth.
wow.
Because well, like research is good. Obviously, I mean it's like a
It's
good supporter.
great, but okay.
But it's like boss. I think might be the most played card in the game. I could be mistaken about that. And Festivities, as I said, has played a lot. Research has played a decent amount. Like boss is just a card that it's not the only card thing. It's not the only card that does what it does. There might be another one that we'll talk about later on in the video, but it's certainly the main one, I think. So it's really powerful. It's an effect that every deck in the game wants,
Mhm.
and research isn't. Like, I mean, it's
All
good.
right,
Drawing seven's a card, an effect that everyone wants.
so just quickly, let's discuss the other 3 cards which I think we agreed it's not those, right? So Professor's Tourist Scenario, it's too limited, right? It sees a lot of play, but it's usually one copy of in a number of decks. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be the card of the year, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you said Sada's Vitality, which I don't think it's that either. Again, it's super awesome when it does, right? But it's even it's probably more niche than Professor Tourist Scenario.
Yeah, that certainly cannot go in every deck. It's probably like if it could go to any Pokemon, then it probably would be like the best supporter in the game. Um, which obviously would be like super
Yeah,
absurd, but it's very good with the decks. It's like Raging Bull Ogre Pond is obviously a good deck and fueled by Professor Saw's Vitality, but it's not like the best deck of the
yeah.
year. And yeah, anyway, so then we have Arvin.
And then there's Irvin, right? Which it's very good, and and it sees a ton of play, but I don't think it's Irvin, right? I don't
Yeah, I
think
think
you do
it's
either.
carried by the good tools and items. I mean, obviously it gets tools and items, but I think there's a handful of great ones, which are why this card's good. And
Yeah.
it's like it's good, but I've never been a massive fan of Arvin either. So yeah, I'm finally leaving that one off. So
Okay.
Iono, let's talk about that one now. Iono is the best disruptive supporter in the game, realistically, and the
Yeah.
best or it's the best shuffle draw supporter in the game as well. So, are you
Yeah.
disagreeing?
Well, I mean, youngster's not terrible. Everyone forgets
Youngster's
about it.
not
It's
that.
not terrible. And then there's what do we have? I'm trying to think what hasn't rotated. That might yeah, I guess that there's nothing better.
Yeah, I mean, youngster's not that good though. It's shuffle draw five if you don't know, which is like okay. I mean, like a decent
But
chunk of the game will be getting you more cards than Iono, but Iono's
that's right.
disruptive aspect paired with its draw aspect is like so good.
Yeah, look, Iono's good, really good early game now. Before Pheasant Dippy came out, it was good for disruption. Now that Pheasant Dippy's out and most people are playing it, it's kind of pointless,
I
right?
wouldn't say it's
You're actually just
pointless. Like it's it still like generally shrinks their hand. They still are able to generally recover, but they won't always be able to recover from Iono. And also sometimes you like prime catcher or counter catcher or whatever up their Fazandipti and then
yeah.
Iono them or something like that. So Iono's still good. Like
No,
it's very good.
it is very good. And like rare candy decks, which are a big thing. You don't like a card like Research. At least I don't, right? I'm very hesitant, right? That's going to discard my rare candies, and
Or
I'm
your
going to be in a
Pokemon.
lot.
Like it's your rare candies
Oh,
you
like
can't really get back.
right in like a Charizard deck, you're not recovering rare candies, right? Really, only in a control deck can you get those back, which is a whole different game, really. Um, so but now that Pheasantipity, putting yourself to a low hand late game doesn't always feel good. So it's very good. Don't get me wrong. I would put Research over it, but I get you. There's obviously arguments
Yeah,
to be
why do you
made.
think research like obviously it draws you a lot of cards, right? Research, but why do you
Yes,
think it's like
it's
yeah.
I don't look. Research had fallen off, and I don't remember when it picked back up. But now it's played in a lot of decks, and it's played in like four. There's a lot of four copies of research decks now. I think in the game. For a while, people veered away from it. It's back now.
Yeah, I think it's
So
kind of taking turns with Arvin. Like, you're looking at stage two decks with Arvin, and then decks like basic decks that want research. I guess like Raging Bolt doesn't necessarily want research, but something
right,
like Lugia Archeops and Regigico V-Star both want research as well to be able to discard certain cards from what you have. So research is like
right.
is good, and then it can be teched into as like a one of or two of into other decks as well, like Charizard or something. It's a good card. I think it's boss. Like that's I'll just say that.
I think yeah. I mean, every deck wants some boss, right? Let me take. I mean, let's see. Toronto for 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It just keeps going down. That the
Yeah.
number
Oh, and
of
then at
copies.
Osaka, it's one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine.
I
I
think
think
it's
it might
all
be
of
all
them,
the
right?
decks. Yeah.
Right, because they only report the top 16. I
Yeah, this
think,
one just
right? I
says
think
top
it's in.
16 here, and so that's very impressive. It's very good, and this it's a wide variety of decks. You got like
Yeah,
Draco and Serial Edge and Miraidon and Arcaludon and um Dragapult and Pidgeot like Control and Reachable Ogerpon and Gardevoir and like Cloth Trapghost. It's in like any deck of any type, and it's good in that deck. Yes, it's not played as like a four of. It's like a two of, I guess, is probably what you're looking at, but
yeah,
it's very good.
yeah. I mean, I'm looking. As you're talking, let the Perth regional. They list 55 decks here. Under it, and the top 50 and all the top 55 decks play at least one boss. So it's just every deck has it, right? The counts are low, but every deck needs a gusting effect, basically.
Yeah. So
So
yeah, we'll say boss. Boss is very very good.
yeah, I'm glad with boss, and I'm a lot happier to make it boss than I was when we made it Snorlax.
Yeah, boss is I think a card that some people find like it's very good, so some people find it a little annoying, but yeah, it's not like it's a card that's just a normal card in the game. And then for items, next up, I have four. You said you had eight.
Yes, and I'm pretty sure I got the number correct this time. So why don't you
Huh.
name your four
Yeah, so
first?
I got Nest Ball, Ultra Ball, Prime Catcher, and Super Rod.
And I didn't wait. So you had four. Okay, and I didn't have Super Rod. So
Okay.
okay. So a couple of them I don't. and I don't think Super Rod gets it, but maybe I'm wrong on that. So besides that, I've got Buddy Buddy Poffin.
Hmm.
I have Night Stretcher, which is very good. I really like that. Earthen Vessel, which
That's
very
good.
very
Yeah,
good.
good card.
Rare Candy, I didn't think it, which is just insane with
Yeah,
what
I
it
mean, rare
does.
candy's really hard to like value. I feel like,
Uh,
which doesn't mean it's
it
bad. I mean,
it
it's good,
it
but
is. I mean, the decks that use it, it's insane, right? Like
yeah, they
Charizard,
need it.
Pidgeot, it's nothing without it. But then obviously you got decks that big basic decks that don't use it. But that's true for yeah. I mean, Ultra Ball is like the most. I think Ultra Ball or Prime Catcher myself, and then I have Counter Catcher, which I think Counter
Okay,
Catcher
yeah,
deserves. I think that's probably top five or so, but I could
maybe
be
it's
wrong.
a very good card. And that's partially why Snorlax is so good. Regardless, I'd say what you said is I think so. Super Odd, you had mentioned that, and I said it. I
Right.
think it's. I mean, I think it's better than Night Stretcher. Also, it's been out the whole year. It's playing higher
Yeah.
quantities, like often. Like it's very good in some decks. I wouldn't say it's Super Odd. I think Super Odd and Night Stretcher kind of take away from each other. So I wouldn't say those.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's like a mix. Most decks you place at least one of each. A lot of it, times it's three of a total, and it's a matter of what two is. Probably my typical deck has two Night Stretchers, one Super Rod. But you know, I think yeah, I think they take away, and neither one is pushing it to the top.
Yeah, yeah. And then there is. Well, I don't think what were your other items? I don't think any of those seemed like they were.
So Earth and Vessel, you're not a big fan of that,
No,
right?
I mean it's good. It's a good card, but
Okay, it's a very good, but that is not what this is. Buddy Buddy Poffin, you don't think that?
no. Buddy Buddy Popfin's good. It's like kind of insane in the decks it's in, but it's not in all the
Right.
decks. And those decks also probably play Nest Ball and Ultra Ball.
Yeah, it loses the versatility. So I agree about that. What about but Rare Candy is insanely good in a lot
Yeah.
of
Rare
very good
Candy's
decks.
interesting. It's in like a few really good decks, like Charizard, and then like any Pidgeot deck, and
Right.
sometimes in
And
Gardevoir, and then Dragapult.
Dragapult,
Um,
right.
Dusknoir, I guess as well. I'm just flipping through Goldingo. What? Oh yeah, okay, with Togekiss. I
Yeah.
was wondering if that's what it was. Yeah. So you have. It's like it's a good card, obviously. I think if you took away Rare Candy, um, some decks just wouldn't work. But if you took away, wait, what card did you think it should be? Ultra Ball? I think Nest Ball is better. I think Nest Ball might be better than Ultra Ball. I'm not
We
sure. I
could
could.
see that. But anyway, so Rare Candy, you think it's not universal enough, right?
Yeah, it's
So we take
hard to.
out.
Yeah, I don't love it. I mean, it's just very
That's
good,
fine.
obviously, but I think it's not Prime Catcher either. I think
Well, hang on. So Counter Catcher, you didn't have that. You don't think that's it. It's very
no.
good for what it does, right?
Yeah, Prime
But
Catcher is better than a Counter Catcher.
well, it's your ace spec, right? So
Yeah,
that it better be better than it, right?
yeah.
Um, I mean, I put an Ultra Ball one, Prime Catcher two, Nest Ball three. So you want to put you think Nest Ball,
I'm not sure. I could go with Ultra Ball. I'd be fine with that. I don't think Prime Catcher being your ace spec, it's kind of different. I honestly just don't really want to put Prime Catcher at the top. It's very good. It's a pretty like decently defining card in the game, but it is an ace spec, so it's a one of. And if you didn't have Prime Catcher, you'd lose out on certain combos and like explosive turns and things like that, that you could only get with Counter Catcher if you're losing, and you're not always losing. So, well, I'm not always losing, but
I might
no,
always be
yeah,
losing.
no, no. So, yeah, you have Prime Catcher's very good. I'm not sitting here denying it, but it's compared to like it's at a higher bar because it's an ace spec. I think Nest Ball and Ultra Ball are up like really close. Nest Ball,
Yeah,
I guess I'll go with Ultra Ball. Discarding is actually kind of nice as well. It's not like you'd probably rather not discard two cards, but it's very good, and I think it's almost like underrated right now as well. People are playing like Terra Orb and
yeah,
um Feather Ball before playing a fourth Ultra Ball sometimes, which I think the fourth Ultra Ball is almost always better because of its versatility. So I'm fine with Ultra Ball, and decks like Rageable Ogerpon is still playing Ultra Ball. So if a deck like that wasn't
right.
playing, what was I? Sorry. Anyway, yeah. So if a deck like this wasn't playing, wait, does this one play Ultra Ball? I think they sometimes do. Right. I'm gonna actually check what percentage of them do play Ultra Ball.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I think yeah. Take a look.
they play
Just let me
some,
talk.
like an
Y-
average of one in the current format.
Okay, so yeah, so to me the question is Nest Ball obviously is necessary for evolution decks. Obviously you
Ultra
have the
Ball.
basic Ultra Ball. Sorry, Ultra Ball is Nest Ball's not and you play Nest Ball in those decks too, basically, unless you play Buddy Buddy Poffin, if that's all you need, right? But you often are playing Nest Ball as well. So the question is but any evolving deck has to have Nest Ball essentially. For the basic only decks,
Huh?
are they playing some Nest
No,
Balls?
Ultra
I mean,
Ball. Ultra Ball.
Some Ultra Ball. Sorry, right?
Um,
Does a big basic deck play Ultra Ball? And if they are even playing one, generally, I think I'd give it to Ultra Ball because its
yeah, and I think
versatility.
that they are. You want some discard. It's a good card. Dust Balls. If Dust Ball went to your hand and it made Lumineon V better and things like that, then I think I'd give it to Dust Ball. But maybe I don't know how much that would change the format. But Ultra Ball is really good, and so I'm fine with giving it to Ultra Ball.
Okay, I mean, yeah, Nest Balls. Yeah, if a Quick Ball was in format, that might change things
Yeah.
because what that does for you. So
Uh,
okay, so we got Ultra Ball is category number winner number 5, and down to the final category, which I find this one tough to get cards for, and this is best tool stadium special energy. Best of the rest is what it
yep.
is.
Not basic energy, because that would be a debate. That would be kind of weird. So we're not doing that. But we have the oh,
So
I
I
misspelled best. I have my like notes. Apparently I misspelled best. Like autocorrected.
All right, so I have one of each type in my thing. So let me just say what they are. It's also really hard to evaluate these because they're different types. So the best tool we've made mention of it, I think, is Forest Seal Stone. Obviously, it doesn't work for everything, but it's insane when it does. I think the best energy is Double Turbo Energy. I don't think there's any debate on that one. If you say want to say something else, I might just stop recording I think there is one best stadium and that's Pokestop.
Yeah, I
You might,
originally had Area Zero under that, but I was like, wait, no, I forgot about Pokestop. And then also Art Zone's good. Not as good as
yeah,
Pokestop. It's like highly played and more universal, but in some ways being universal as a stadium is also bad. So, yeah, Pokestop is very good. I think it's not Pokestop. Um,
okay.
like
I mean,
it's
obviously, a lot
good,
of
but
right. You have to play a deck built for Pokestop, is what I'll say, and most decks aren't right because supporters, in large part, are just so good. So, it's but obviously, it's critical to a number of decks, but then more decks don't want to play it at all.
I
I
guess
would
it's
say,
critical, but also it's like it doesn't. It's not a super reliable card. And it also is a card that's not your whole engine. It's like a half or a third of your engine or something like that. Because you got Rating Engine, Pheasant EX, and Squawkabilly EX, and those are very
right?
important. You might play like Pokey or you might play Tracking Shoes, so which do work with Pokestop, but I don't think it's Pokestop. I think it's between Force Seal Stone and Double Turbo. They're different. The
Yeah.
meta game, like the best decks we have are like I'm just like looking through the best decks of the year, and neither of these are like played in that many of the decks. I guess Pokestop's played in as many as like the other ones. I think it's Double Turbo is so good right now with Terapagos builds being like Cloth and Terapagos being just so good right now. Like I think Cloth is a top I think it's a
Y-
top like 5 deck probably with Cloth
Okay.
Terapagos. And then you have it in Lugia, but I think for the most of the format, I'd give it to Force Seal Stone. I think it's the card that makes Arvin great. Arvin's obviously a good supporter, but I think it's because of Force Seal Stone. Like people are playing multiple Force Seal Stones. You literally can't even
Right.
use multiple, but people play them because it's so good. Not all the time, but sometimes.
Right. You'll play 4 Arvin with just like one Force Seal Stone, and it kind of justifies the 4 Arvin. When you're just getting search for an item like 3 times with it. So, yeah, and the double turbo because Arceus hasn't been great this year, pretty much. That double turbo is picked up as the year was went on. I think right. So it hasn't been as good all year. Whereas Forest Seal Stone's been a big piece all year. I think I don't know for universality, which card is more universal, Forest Seal Stone or Double Turbo.
Yeah,
Um,
it's kind of weird. I think it's Force Seal Stone, like at least in the meta right now, and with Arcus going down and other V-Stars going down. Yes, Regidrake is good and Palkia is also decent, and then Lugia's good, but they're not like most of the meta. Then Force Seal Stone's good in most, like a lot of those other decks. Miraidon,
yeah,
Charizard. It's like good in Lost Zone, I guess. It's not played in Lost Zone right now, but it sometimes is. And there are decks that could play it, and there are decks that do play it. And I think it's very good. Like Cloth, it's really important to that deck. So I think Force Seal Stone being the best of
okay,
those is fair.
yeah, I think it's the best. What's interesting is I think we would agree Forest Seal Stone is the best item, Double Turbo Energy the best energy,
Cool.
Pokestop the
I
best.
mean,
What's
it
that?
says item, but
Sorry. Yeah, and Pokestop the best stadium, and they're all rotating. So the best of each of those categories is rotating. So which is so the game's taking a step back for what we have to choose from all those
yeah. And
things
then
a
Lost
year
Factor's
ahead.
also rotating, which is kind of interesting. That was a card I originally had as a great. It's a good item, but
Yeah.
it's kind of different and it's not insane. But yeah. So that card, we'll see how much is missed, and rotation will shake things up. Snorlax is rotating,
Mm.
and yeah. So a
I
lot
mean
of
the
really good
cards.
cards are rotating.
Yeah, I mean the other cards. Just I like I said, energy is still very good. It's niche,
Oh,
right? It
Legacy,
didn't
yeah.
doesn't that might become the best special energy. The technical machines, they're
Mist
very
Energy is
good.
also like good.
Yeah, the technical machines are good. I had TM Evolution as maybe a tool, right? Because it's very important in some decks, but obviously
Yeah.
not in a lot.
Rescue Board is
Bravery,
also very good.
yeah, Bravery Charm for a tool, again, very good. That's rotating,
I
right? Or not
guess. No,
rotating?
Brave Charm's not. But I think Brave Charm's okay. I don't think it's like that good. I mean, it's
No.
good. I was
And
like, should I? But I'd definitely put Rescue Board over it because it's almost like an item ability. Like, his Force Seal
yeah,
Stone is like a regular card that you play, except it's a tool.
yeah,
And
right.
Rescue Board's kind of like Switch on a tool. It's not, but it's kind of like that, which I think makes
Yeah.
it great in Arvin decks.
No, it's very good. Obviously, the reduction of one only is not great
It's not
in a
always
number of
one
decks.
only. Well, I mean, it essentially is. It's. I always forget that it allows you to. It gives you free retreat if you have 30 HP or less. I guess it gives
Oh, that's
Badu free
right.
retreat. Yay. So if your opponent plays like a bunch of things, like if you're against Spite Ops and you're playing Badu, you now have free retreat.
There you go. Oh, I guess if you're playing Magikarp, right? They're 30 HP, right?
Yeah, but they probably
With the
also have.
retreat cost of, are they free? They might be
I
one.
think it's
Oh, I guess,
one,
but it's not
but it
two
doesn't
though.
matter. Yeah, like pretty much any
Yeah, it doesn't.
Pokemon with low HP has low retreat, so it's kind of meaningless. But
Yeah,
regardless, Rescue Board obviously good. Um, but anyways, I think we got a good list, and
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I mean,
the most diverse, the most divisive one was the first one, which I wasn't necessarily
the
expecting.
attacking one. No, I figured we'd be because we had the same four, right? The same list of four
Hmm.
for both of us, but a strong opinion. So Charizard EX squeaks out the best attacking Pokemon,
Squeaks out, I guess. Just happens
right?
to be like
Well,
the best card all year, but that's fine.
it's
No, maybe not
well,
the best all year, but
look,
very
it's
good, very good.
HP. Look, its HP, its attack, and its ability is pretty insane. I got to say, I think
Yeah.
this is close to being a broken card. That's what I'd say
Yes.
there. Pheasant EX gets the best supporting Pokemon. It wasn't around as long as some, but it's just used so massively. Snorlax, the best non-rulebacks Pokemon, rotating, and I know I'm glad for that, and I imagine you are as well. And
Yeah. Yes.
boss,
Yes.
so I paused for you to just jump in, but that we weren't in
No, I
sync
figured
there.
that didn't need
Bosses,
to be said.
well, some people must love it, right? Boss's order is just insanely good. Period. Ultra Ball, really awesome, and obviously, it just in Forest Seal Stone, search your deck for any one card once over the course of the game. Really good for probably half the decks or something. The decks that can use it. So, I think well deserved. Your top cards there is what I'd say.
Yeah, but comment down below if you're watching us on YouTube, what cards you think you'd put here. Any cards that are like new cards as well that you think are really interesting, because most of these are older cards. But we hope you enjoyed the podcast. Consider checking us out on YouTube at 10 Types and at Echo and Fossil, as well as you can listen to us on podcasting platforms. But we hope you enjoyed, and we're excited to see you in the next episode.
Take care.